They say he rode in just past sundown, with the sky bleeding fire and dust hissing off his boots. No wagon, no horse of his own, just a single canvas sack slung over his back and a folded deed stuffed in the front pocket of his long brown coat. The man didn't speak when he passed the saloon, didn't nod to the blacksmith eyeing him from the forge, just kept walking, limping, step and drag, step and drag. A boy on the porch of the general store whispered to his brother, "That's the fella bought Maddox ranch for $1." The older boy spat. He got robbed. But the man, Thorne Avery, though nobody knew his name then, didn't hear. Or if he did, he didn't care. The sun caught the scar above his cheekbone just long enough to show it was real. The kind of scar a knife leaves when it doesn't go deep enough to finish the job. The ranch sat 12 miles west of town, with a mesquite thinned and the earth cracked into long, jagged lines like old hands reaching skyward. A single gate swung crooked, one hinge busted clean through. Past it, the house leaned tiredly to one side, roof half gone, porch boards curling like old paper. He stopped at the gate, looked at it like it might speak, then stepped over it. Inside, it smelled like dust and rot and wind. Floorboards groaned under his boots. He took off the coat, hung it on a nail by the door, sat on the floor, didn't light a fire, didn't sleep either. Some say the land's cursed, that anyone who stays hears things in the night. But Thorne? He was already listening. He heard the shuffle in the dirt just after midnight. Not a coyote, not the wind. Too soft, too cautious. He didn't move, didn't even breathe deep. Then a whisper, barely there, a creak of the front porch, one that didn't come from the wind. When he opened his eyes, the chair by the cold hearth was rocking. Slow, lazy, like someone had just gotten up and left. But the room was empty. Next morning, he walked the perimeter, found the well still dry, found the barn roof caved in, found a nest of bones where a chicken coop used to be, and in the dust near the shed, footprints, small ones, bare, leading from the barn to the back of the house. Too small for a man, too light for a thief. He knelt by them, touched the heel print, still fresh, didn't say a word, didn't call out. He just went inside and nailed shut the windows. That night, he set a plate of beans on the porch and sat in the chair, the one that kept rocking on its own. The food was gone by dawn. No tracks this time. Only a single knife mark carved into the wooden step. Thin, sharp, purposeful. He sanded it smooth. The third night, he left no food, but the wind still changed. He felt it before it came. That hush that swallows up every bird, every cricket, every sound but your own breath. Then, a shadow at the edge of the doorway. He didn't turn, just said, "You ain't a ghost." Silence. He stood slow, careful not to reach for anything too fast. And there she was, thin, wild, hair tangled like tumbleweed, eyes sharp as a hawk's, bare feet, knife in one hand, no older than 13. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. "This is my place," she said, voice dry, like it hadn't been used in days. "You don't belong here." "I paid for it," he said. "With what?" she snapped. $1. He didn't answer. Her grip tightened on the knife. "I'll gut you in your sleep." He didn't laugh, didn't threaten, just nodded once. Fair warning. Then turned and went inside, left the door open behind him. She didn't follow. But the next morning, there were 2 plates on the porch, one half-eaten, one untouched, and in the dirt beside the step, a single word scratched with a stick. June. No last name. No explanation. He stared at it for a long time, then kicked dust over the letters. That night, the wind came in colder. The coyotes howled closer. But Thorne Avery didn't sleep. He sat by the window, watching the porch, shotgun across his knees, eyes on the shadows that never stayed still. He wasn't afraid, and neither was she. Not yet, but they would be, both of them, before the gold, before the blood, before the legend they were about to write in the dust. The knife was at his throat before he opened the door. Cold steel, steady hand, no shaking, no sound but the wind catching the torn curtain behind him. "You stop putting food out like I'm a dog," June said. Thorne didn't move, didn't blink. "You ain't a dog," he muttered. "Then quit feeding me like one." The blade stayed there, close enough he could feel the sharp breath behind it. She was inches shorter, but she stood like she'd never lost anything. Not once. He looked down at the thin fingers holding that bone-handled knife. They were scratched, scarred, caked with dust. You eaten today? No. Then the food stays. She hesitated. Just a second. But the knife dropped. Thorne turned and walked back into the house like nothing happened. Left the door open again. Behind him, she waited, watching, then followed. She didn't sit, just stood in the corner like a corner was safer than trust. Eyes like a hawk's, sharp, searching, always above his hands. Thorne scooped beans into his second bowl. No invitation. She took it anyway. Ate fast. Quiet. Not like someone starved, like someone used to hiding. You always sleep in barns? He asked. Better than floors. That why you live out there? No. I live out there 'cause that's mine. Her voice dropped like a hammer. This land's mine. Was my daddy's. Thorne didn't reply. She scraped the bottom of the bowl. He reached for his coffee, slow and quiet. The silence stretched between them like an old scar. What's your name? He asked. You already read it. Don't make it yours. It is mine, she snapped. June. Just June. And I ain't leaving. You don't have to. That made her blink. Just once. Then, I ain't scared of you. I know. You ought to be scared of me. He didn't argue. Next morning, she was gone again. But a line of snare traps had been laid around the shed. Perfectly knotted. Hidden just beneath the brush. He nearly stepped in one. She'd been watching. Measuring. The next day, he found 3 gutted rabbits hung from the porch beam. She came back that evening, barefoot, arms crossed, hair wild in the wind. I need salt. He tossed her a pouch. She caught it one-handed. Still didn't smile. A week passed. Thorne fixed the well. June patched the barn roof. Neither said much. But when the coyotes howled at midnight, 2 rifles fired, not one. And when a rattler came hissing out from under the woodpile, June dropped it with a stone before Thorne could reach for the shovel. He looked at the rock in her hand, still warm with the kill. She didn't flinch. My daddy taught me that. Thorne squinted. Outlaw Jack Maddox? She said nothing, just picked up the dead snake and walked off. One afternoon, she sat on the fence, carving something into a piece of mesquite. A hawk circled overhead, crying sharp and lonesome. You shoot? He asked from the porch. She didn't look up. Better than most. He held out the Winchester. She took it. No hesitation. Walked 10 paces to a fence post. Set a rusted can on top. No aim. No breath held. Crack. Can flew clean off. Crack. 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 For shots. For dents in the can. She handed it back. Thorne looked at her. Eyes narrowed. You don't shoot like a ranch girl. She met his gaze. Flat. Daring. Didn't say I was one. He nodded just once. Fair. That night, a storm rolled in. Loud. Angry. Thunder cracking like gunfire. She didn't come inside. He left the door open anyway. At midnight, he heard her footsteps. Muddy fast, panicked. She slammed the door shut and stood there, dripping, face pale, eyes wide. Lightning hit the tree by the barn, she whispered. He pointed to the chair. She didn't sit, just stared at the wall, like she saw something on it only she could see. He didn't speak, just poured her a tin of coffee. No sugar. She drank it like it was warmth itself. In the morning, he found her asleep on the floor near the hearth, curled like a cat, one hand still on a knife. He stepped around her. Outside, the storm had cleared, but something else was coming. He could feel it, and when he looked down at her, eyes still closed, dirt smudged on her cheek, chest rising slow and steady, he realized something strange. She wasn't afraid of the world. She was afraid of losing it. And Thorne Avery, for the first time in years, felt afraid too. Because something was stirring beneath this land. And neither of them were ready. Not yet. Smoke curled on the horizon. Not campfire smoke, signal smoke. Dark, rising steady, carried on the same wind that whistled through June's traps. Thorne saw it first. Didn't say a word. Just watched it. June stepped beside him, fingers clutching the worn stock of the Winchester. Her eyes narrowed. Company. Trouble. She said nothing. He didn't need to explain. She'd seen it too. Horses kicking dust beyond a ridge, faint silhouettes gliding through the heat shimmer like ghosts in long coats. By sundown, the first rider crossed the outer fence. A red bandana covered his mouth. Shotgun slung loose over his shoulder. 3 more behind him. None of them smiled. Sheriff Mallory rode out fast when word reached town. His mustache twitched when he saw Thorne at the edge of the property. "You know who they are?" the sheriff asked. Thorne nodded once. "El Paso gang. Treasure sniffers. Been chasing ghosts for years. Someone must have told Maddox buried gold under this ranch." "Did he?" the sheriff asked. Thorne's eyes didn't blink. "Doesn't matter." Sheriff looked toward the smoke. "They're just scouting now. Testing fences. Tomorrow they'll come with spades and pistols." "They won't find anything," Thorne said. "Hope you're right." Thorne didn't answer, because he wasn't. That night, June didn't sit on the fence or carve mesquite or gut rabbits. She stood in the middle of the porch, rifle in hand, eyes locked on the ridgeline. Thorne handed her a canteen. She didn't drink. "They're here for the gold," she said. His jaw flexed. "What gold?" She didn't look at him. "My father. He wasn't just some outlaw." Her voice was hollow now, heavy. "Before he died, he told me things. About what he took, what he buried. Said he'd marked it deep, deeper than bones go." She turned to him slowly. "It's under this land, Thorne." He didn't flinch. "Why tell me now?" he asked. "Because they're going to kill for it. And I need to know if you'll kill back." Dawn cracked the sky open. The riders came with shovels and guns. They stopped at the fence again. 7 of them this time. The one in front, tall, lean, yellow gloves, eyes like dull coins, called out in a voice smooth as snake oil. "You'll squat in on something don't belong to you." Thorne stepped forward, coat open, hands easy at his sides. "Paid for it fair. $1 and his signature." The man laughed. "Then sell it back." Thorne shrugged. $2. The gang shifted. One spat. The leader grinned. "You got a death wish, old man." Thorne's voice was quiet. "You're not the first to think so." Behind him, June stood in the barn shadow, rifle barrel resting on the rail. They didn't cross the fence. Not yet. They turned back, for now, riding slow, like wolves circling a fire. But June could feel it. They'd be back. She waited until they vanished into the dust before speaking. "I should have burned the map." "What map?" She opened her palm. Scars. Thin white lines. A pattern burned into her skin. Not ink. Not paper. Branding. "My father said no one could steal it if it lived under my skin." Thorne stared. "That why you stayed out here all these years?" "I'm not guarding the gold," she said. "I'm keeping it buried." That night, they buried lanterns around the property. Dug trenches. Loaded shells. Neither spoke much. Thorne sharpened the knife on the porch. June boiled water for coffee. Her hands didn't shake. He watched her in the firelight, small, dirty, eyes too old for her face. She was her father's daughter. No doubt. But more than that, she had the land in her blood. And Thorne, he knew what that meant. Just before dawn, hoofbeats returned. Slow. Measured. The fence creaked. June raised her rifle. Eyes unblinking. Thorne stepped out, shotgun in hand. No words this time. Just tension. Thick as smoke. The leader crossed the fence. Boot touched soil. That was all it took. A warning shot split the morning. Missed his boot by an inch. He didn't flinch. Just grinned. "Didn't take you for bluffers." Thorne raised his voice. "Ain't bluffing." Another step. Thorne cocked the shotgun. "I buried worse men than you on this land," he said. And his voice wasn't old anymore. It was iron. The kind forged from war and blood and silence. The gang hesitated. The leader scowled. "Who the hell are you?" June answered. "He's the man you should have left alone." The wind rose. A hawk cried above the ridge. And Thorne Avery, the legend thought long gone, stepped into the morning light, coat flapping like wings, shotgun level. No limp, no fear. And that's when the riders knew. They weren't hunting ghosts. They were the ghosts now. The first shot rang out, just past on. Splintered wood. Screaming iron. The porch rail behind Thorne exploded into splinters. He didn't flinch, just dropped to one knee and fired back. Boom! A rider fell from his saddle, neck twisted, boots still twitching. June was already in position, high in the barn rafters, sights leveled through a jagged hole in the wall. Her face was stone. She fired once. Crack! A second man pitched sideways, rifle flying from his hand. The rest dismounted fast. 5 of them now, crouched behind barrels, trees, the stone well. Muzzles flashing. bullets snapping past Thorne's shoulder like hornets. He moved like he'd never limped, rolled behind the water trough, reloaded, counted to 3, then stood and fired again. Boom! A scream. Someone was hit. Maybe gut shot. Maybe worse. Didn't matter. They kept coming. June's voice cracked through the dust. 2 by the well. I see him. Thorne snapped off 2 quick rounds. One hit stone. The other hit bone. Someone dropped. Gunfire answered back, chewing into the side of the house. Windows shattered. Shingles flew. The leader's voice cut through it all. You're outgunned, old man. Thorne ducked, checked his shells. 3 left. He called back. Then come collect your dollar. Laughter. Cold and hollow. You still protecting that brat? Or the gold? She's worth more than anything you'd understand. She's a map, the man spat. That's all. Then silence. No shots. No movement. Too quiet. Thorne glanced toward the barn. June was gone. His heart kicked hard. Then he saw her. She'd slipped behind them, moving fast, low to the dirt like a panther, rifle slung tight. She came up behind the man at the well, knife out, quiet as breath. One cut. The man gurgled and dropped. But she wasn't fast enough for the last one. The leader grabbed her by the arm, spun her around, pistol at her throat. Thorne froze. Drop it, the man roared. Thorne raised a shotgun but held it still. The leader's arm tightened. She moves, she dies. June didn't move. Just looked at Thorne. Not afraid. Just waiting. You ain't walking off this land, Thorne said. The man sneered. I walk when I please. Thorne's eyes went cold. You don't know who I am. I don't care who you. Boom. The leader's head snapped sideways. One shot. June stood there, smoke rising from the tiny revolver she'd hidden in her boot. Face blank. Hand steady. The man hit the ground like a sack of grain, dead before he finished falling. Silence again. But this time it stayed. No more riders. No more shots. Just wind and blood and smoke curling into morning light. Thorne limped forward. Slow now. Real limp this time. Did he hurt you? June shook her head. No. He looked at the revolver. You held back. I waited. He nodded. They dug 2 graves before noon. One for the leader. One for the man she knifed at the well. Thorne didn't speak while he shoveled. Neither did she. Dust clung to the sweat on their skin. The hawks circled high above. When they finished, June stared down into the holes. Will they come again? Always do. She nodded. Then we bury them too. That night, under the stars, she lit a fire in the pit by the well. Thorne handed her a folded paper, the deed. She looked at it like it was a snake. I don't want it. It's yours. I didn't ask for it. He stared at the fire. Some things you don't get to ask for. She took it. Didn't say thank you. Didn't have to. Before dawn, Thorne packed his sack. His coat. His shotgun. His silence. June stood by the door, arms crossed. Where will you go? Don't know. You ever coming back? He looked at her. You don't need me here. I didn't say I needed you. He smiled. Didn't say you did. Then he reached into his coat, pulled out a silver badge. Worn. Scratched. Still shining. He tossed it to her. She caught it. Bury it, he said. Or wear it. Up to you. Then he stepped into the wind. And never looked back. They say the girl stayed. Built the fence higher. Planted a tree over the old well. Said the gold stayed buried. Said the story didn't. Some folks still ride out there, looking for treasure. But all they find is dust and a grave marker with 2 names. Here lie the last men who tried to steal what couldn't be bought. And if the wind's right, real soft, just before dusk, some swear they hear a chair creaking on the porch. Waiting, just waiting.